Did you know these 20 sitcom stars have a combined age of over 1,600 years, and they're all still alive and thriving today? From cheers and laughter in classic shows to unexpected career comebacks. Here are 20 old sitcom stars who are still alive and with us. 1. Ted Danson. Ted Danson remains one of the last standing sitcom legends, proving that Hollywood hasn't entirely forgotten its past stars. Best known as Sam Malone, the confident and flirty bartender in Cheers, 1982 to 1993, Danson made millions of viewers fall in love with his charm. But unlike many sitcom actors who fade away after their biggest role, he refused to disappear. When Cheers ended, many assumed his best days were over. How could he ever top such an iconic role? Yet Danson found a way. Instead of clinging to his past, he took a sharp turn, playing a cranky yet brilliant doctor in Becker, 1998 to 2004. While not as wildly successful as Cheers, the show proved that Danson could still carry a series on his own. But he didn't stop there. In The Good Place, 2016 to 2020, he reinvented himself again, playing Michael, an afterlife architect with a complex moral struggle. This wasn't the same carefree bartender audiences had known in the 80s. It was a role that demanded depth, humor, and intelligence, all of which Danson delivered flawlessly. His success in The Good Place showed that he wasn't just surviving in Hollywood. He was still thriving. In an industry where so many actors his age vanish into retirement or settle for forgettable roles, Danson remains a rare example of longevity. Even after decades in the spotlight, he continues to take on roles that challenge expectations and showcase his versatility. His performance in The Good Place proved that great acting isn't about staying the same. It's about evolving with every new opportunity. 2. Maureen McCormick. Maureen McCormick's name will forever be linked to Marcia Brady, the golden-haired, picture-perfect daughter from the Brady Bunch, 1969 to 1974. But was her life really as flawless as it seemed on screen? Hardly. When the cameras stopped rolling, McCormick faced an uphill battle. Unlike other child stars who made a smooth transition into adulthood, she struggled to find serious roles. Being America's sweetheart wasn't enough to secure her a permanent place in Hollywood. Instead, she faced personal struggles that nearly erased her career altogether. For years, McCormick fought to reclaim her life and her identity beyond Marcia Brady. Reality television became her unlikely lifeline. Competing on shows like Celebrity Fit Club and Dancing with the Stars, she reminded audiences that she wasn't just a relic of the past. But was that enough? Even though she found some success, she never fully escaped the shadow of her teenage role. In 2008, she laid everything bare in her autobiography. Here's the story: Surviving Marcia Brady and Finding My True Voice. The book revealed personal battles, heartbreak, and the difficult reality of life after fame. It was a raw, unfiltered look at a woman who had been placed on a pedestal only to struggle to stay standing. 3. Henry Winkler. When Henry Winkler first put on Fonzie's leather jacket in Happy Days, 1974 to 1984, he became a television legend overnight. The Fonz wasn't just a character, he was a phenomenon. Kids copied his catchphrases, fans imitated his style, and for a while it seemed like Winkler could do no wrong. But the danger of playing such an iconic role is that it can be impossible to escape. As the show came to an end, Winkler faced the brutal reality that so many actors do. Hollywood moves on fast. Instead of fighting to hold on to his cool guy persona, Winkler made a smart move. He stepped behind the camera. He produced MacGyver, 1985 to 1992, one of the most popular action shows of its time, and took on directing jobs as well. It was a shift that not all actors can make, but Winkler proved he had more to offer than just being the Fonz. Still, for years, many only saw him as the guy who used to be cool. Then came Barry, 2018-2023, a dark, gripping show that gave Winkler the role of a lifetime. As acting coach Gene Cousineau, he showed audiences a side of him they had never seen before. The performance was raw, emotional, and completely different from anything he had done before. The industry took notice, and Winkler finally received a Primetime Emmy for his work. It was proof that even decades after his prime, he could still deliver greatness. 4. Judith Light. Judith Light was never supposed to be just another sitcom star. She first made waves on the soap opera One Life to Live, 1977 to 1983, earning 2 Daytime Emmy Awards for her gripping performances. But it was Who's the Boss, 1984 to 1992, that made her a household name. Playing Angela Bauer, a career-driven woman who hires a male housekeeper, Light helped break stereotypes about women in television. But when the show ended, she faced the same challenge as so many other sitcom actors. What comes next? While many of her peers faded away, Light refused to disappear. She took bold risks, diving into dramatic roles that proved she was more than just a sitcom actress. Her performances in Ugly Betty, 2006-2010, and Transparent, 2014-2019, earned her critical acclaim and multiple award nominations. These weren't just supporting roles. They were complex, layered characters that pushed her talent further than ever before. And if that weren't enough, Light also conquered the theater world, winning 2 Tony Awards for Best Featured Actress in a Play. Few actors successfully transition between TV, film, and theater the way she has. 5. John Astin. John Astin remains one of television's most recognizable faces, largely because of his unforgettable performance as Gomez Addams in The Addams Family, 1964 to 1966. His exaggerated mannerisms, booming voice, and sharp comedic timing gave the show a distinct identity that continues to be referenced in pop culture. Even now, decades later, people still imitate his character's wild eyes and smooth charm. But while his performance as Gomez made him famous, what happened after? Many actors struggled to escape their most iconic roles, and Astin was no exception. Though his role as the Addams patriarch is his most famous, Astin's career didn't stop there. He explored various aspects of entertainment, from theater to film, even directing and producing his own Academy Award-nominated short film, Prelude, 1968. He was more than just a sitcom actor. He was an artist, constantly searching for the next creative challenge. But despite his many talents, Hollywood didn't always know what to do with him. He found himself bouncing between small movie roles and guest appearances on television shows. Some might have assumed his career was fading, but Astin surprised everyone by taking a completely different path. He turned to teaching, spending years as a theater professor at Johns Hopkins University. Many fans were shocked. Why would a famous actor choose to step away from the spotlight? But for Astin, acting was more than just fame. It was a craft, something worth passing on to the next generation. Even though he's no longer front and center in Hollywood, his influence lives on through his students and his unforgettable role as Gomez Addams. Don Johnson. Don Johnson didn't just play Sonny Crockett in Miami Vice, 1984 to 1989. He became the face of 1980s cool. With his pastel suits, sports cars, and effortless swagger, he helped redefine television crime dramas, making the show a cultural phenomenon. The success of Miami Vice wasn't just about the storyline. It was about style, music, and attitude. The show set trends, and Johnson was at the center of it all. But fame is a tricky thing. The world fell in love with Johnson as Crockett, but what happens when a show ends? Many actors struggle to escape a role that made them famous. Could Johnson prove he was more than just a stylish detective? He did his best to stay relevant, landing another lead role as the street-smart detective in Nash Bridges, 1996 to 2001. It was a smart move, keeping him in the public eye and reminding everyone that he wasn't going anywhere. But the television industry is unforgiving, and eventually Nash Bridges ended too. Some thought Johnson's career would fade away, that he would become just another forgotten star of the past. But he didn't let that happen. Instead, he took on surprising roles in high-profile projects like Django Unchained, 2012, and Watchmen, 2019. These weren't just any roles. They showed he could evolve, that he could take on darker, more complex characters. Not many actors from his era have managed to stay in the game this long. 7. Lonnie Anderson. Lonnie Anderson became a household name as Jennifer Marlowe in WKRP in Cincinnati, 1978 to 1982, a role that broke expectations and redefined how glamorous women were portrayed on television. Rather than being the typical ditzy blonde, Jennifer was sharp, confident, and always one step ahead of everyone around her. But being a blonde bombshell in Hollywood came with its own set of challenges. Was the industry ready to take her seriously? Anderson used her fame wisely, extending her career beyond sitcoms and into television movies and other series, including Easy Street, 1986 to 1987. But while she had success, Hollywood is known for being cruel to women as they age. Could she keep her star power alive, or would she be pushed aside like so many before her? Instead of giving in, she embraced her public persona and used her influence to advocate for causes close to her heart, such as supporting the American Lung Association. Her career may not have stayed as high profile as it once was, but Anderson refused to fade away. Unlike many actresses of her time who disappeared from the spotlight, she found other ways to stay relevant. Even now, she continues to make occasional appearances, reminding everyone that she's still here, still strong, and still as sharp as ever. 8. Tony Danza. Tony Danza built a career on playing lovable, tough but tender characters, first in Taxi, 1978 to 1983, and later in Who's the Boss, 1984 to 1992. His charm and streetwise charisma made him a favorite among audiences, cementing his status as one of television's most enduring figures. But was it enough to keep him in the industry forever? Unlike many sitcom actors who struggle to break free from typecasting, Danza successfully branched out, taking on film roles, Broadway performances, and even an unlikely stint as a talk show host. He wasn't afraid to try new things, and that set him apart from many of his peers. But even with his versatility, the entertainment world moves fast. Could Danza keep up? His ability to navigate different entertainment fields kept him active in the industry well beyond his sitcom days. Even in recent years, he continued to find work in shows like There's Johnny, 2017, proving that sometimes a little bit of charisma and adaptability can keep a career alive far longer than anyone expects. 9. Linda Gray. Linda Gray will always be remembered as Sue Ellen Ewing from Dallas, 1978 to 1991. But fame is a tricky thing. Her character's complicated life made her a household name, but time moves fast in Hollywood. When the Dallas revival, 2012-2014, came around, fans were thrilled to see her again. But the magic wasn't the same. The industry had changed, and the show didn't hold the same power over audiences. Even though she embraced directing and took on humanitarian work, it became clear that television no longer revolved around her name. She worked as a United Nations ambassador, speaking on important global issues, but the cameras that once followed her every move had turned elsewhere. Was she still a star, or just a memory of one? The glitz and glamour had faded, and though her name still held value, she wasn't at the center of Hollywood anymore. The roles that once came to her easily were now going to younger actresses. She still makes occasional appearances, but the world of television is always looking for the next big thing. Even legends are sometimes forgotten. 10. Richard Thomas. Richard Thomas became famous as John Boy Walton, a role that earned him a Primetime Emmy and a place in television history. But stepping out from the shadow of such an iconic character isn't easy. The Waltons, 1972 to 1981, was a show built on warmth and nostalgia. And even decades later, people still see him as the eldest Walton son. Though he took on new roles in miniseries like It, 1990, and The Americans, 2013 to 2018. The truth is that none of these roles came close to defining him the way John Boy did. He returned for the Waltons reunion specials, but were these appearances proof of his lasting impact, or just reminders that his biggest success was behind him? Even his celebrated turn as Atticus Finch in the Broadway adaptation of To Kill a Mockingbird wasn't enough to rewrite his career story. He remains respected, talented, and undeniably skilled, but in the fast-moving world of television, respect doesn't always mean relevance. Can an actor truly escape the role that made them famous, or do they always carry it with them? Thomas continues working, but every role seems to be a reflection of his past rather than a new beginning. 11. Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker became a breakout sensation thanks to his role as J.J. Evans in Good Times, 1974 to 1979, but sometimes fame can be a double-edged sword. His electric personality and unforgettable catchphrase, "Dynamite," made him a star overnight. But what happens when a catchphrase becomes bigger than the person saying it? As the years passed, that one line overshadowed everything else he did. After Good Times, he worked as a stand-up comedian and kept himself busy with guest appearances on shows like Scrubs and Everybody Hates Chris. But those were just moments, flashes of recognition from an audience that still saw him as J.J. Evans. His career never reached the same heights again, and Hollywood had little interest in giving him a major role. Even as he continues performing comedy today, one has to wonder, does he feel like he's still chasing a moment that passed him by? He has stayed in the spotlight in some ways, but the industry that once embraced him has long since moved on. The fame that once lifted him up now feels like a weight, keeping him tied to a past that he can't escape. In a world that constantly demands something new, is there still room for a star from the past? Or is he destined to remain a nostalgic figure, known for a single moment rather than a long-lasting career? 12. Valerie Bertinelli. Valerie Bertinelli once charmed audiences as Barbara Cooper on One Day at a Time, 1975 to 1984, playing a young woman navigating real-life family struggles. Her charm, her warmth, and her bright smile made her a fan favorite. But fame in Hollywood is never guaranteed to last. After her sitcom success, she jumped into TV movies and later found herself on Hot in Cleveland, 2010-2015, a show that let her share the screen with other beloved sitcom legends. It was a good move, a reminder of her comedic talent, but it wasn't a return to her peak years. Then she made a surprising turn, stepping into the world of food television. Hosting Valerie's Home Cooking introduced her to a new audience, a different kind of fame. But was this her choice, or did Hollywood leave her with no other option? Shifting from sitcoms to cooking shows is a reinvention, but does it prove adaptability, or just reveal the struggle of staying relevant? Bertinelli has kept her name in the spotlight, but not in the way most expected. While her cooking career has given her new opportunities, some wonder if she would have preferred to stay in television and film. Was Hollywood no longer offering her roles, or did she step away before she had no choice? She is still a familiar face, but will she be remembered as an actress or as a television personality? Her career proves that reinvention is possible, but at what cost? For stars of classic television, the fight to remain relevant is never-ending. Some succeed, while others fade away. Bertinelli remains in the public eye, but whether she is truly in control of her story or simply holding on to whatever spotlight is left remains uncertain. 13. Michael Gross. Michael Gross became a familiar face in homes across America when he played Stephen Keaton, the thoughtful and loving father on Family Ties, 1982 to 1989. His character was kind, intelligent, and always tried to guide his children in the right direction, even when they had completely different views. The heart of the show was the relationship between Stephen and his conservative son, played by Michael J. Fox, which created both humor and emotional depth. Family Ties wasn't just another sitcom. It was a show that made people laugh, but also made them think and feel. It gave audiences a family they could relate to, and Gross was a big part of why the show worked so well. Many actors from classic sitcoms slowly faded into the background after their shows ended. But Gross refused to let that happen to him. Instead of being remembered for just one role, he made a surprising and bold career move. Rather than chasing more roles as a wise and caring father, Gross took on something completely different. Burt Gummer, the wild, gun-loving survivalist in the Tremors movies. It was a massive change from his Family Ties character, but it showed just how versatile he could be as an actor. Instead of playing the calm and steady father figure, he was now playing a man who lived in the desert, armed to the teeth, always ready for the next attack from giant underground creatures. The Tremors films became a cult favorite, and Gross quickly became the face of the franchise. Fans loved Burt Gummer just as much as they had loved Stephen Keaton, but for completely different reasons. Instead of offering wisdom and kindness, he brought energy, action, and over-the-top humor. His role in Tremors proved that he wasn't just a one-hit wonder. He had range, and he was willing to take risks. While some actors from the 80s struggled to stay relevant, Gross never let himself be forgotten. Even outside of Tremors, he continued working, appearing in popular TV shows like The Young and the Restless, ER, and Anger Management. He never stopped acting, proving that he still had more to give, even when Hollywood's attention shifted to younger stars. Many actors find themselves stuck in the past, remembered only for their biggest role. But Gross kept moving forward, taking on different projects that allowed him to grow as a performer. His ability to jump between different types of roles, whether it was comedy, drama, or action, helped him stay in the industry for decades. He didn't need to chase another hit sitcom or try to recreate the magic of Family Ties. Instead, he leaned into what made him unique and found new ways to entertain audiences. 14. Loretta Swit. Loretta Swit became famous as Major Margaret Hot Lips Houlihan on MASH, 1972 to 1983. She started as a strict and rule-following nurse, but over time her character became deeper and more complex. She showed that she was more than just a tough woman in a uniform. She had a heart, dreams, and struggles. Audiences loved watching her transformation, and she won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for the role. But after MASH ended, what happened next? Many thought she would go on to star in another hit show, but she didn't. Instead, she stepped away from the spotlight and focused on theater. She performed on stage rather than in front of cameras, choosing a different path from many other TV stars. Some wonder if she turned away from Hollywood or if Hollywood turned away from her. Whatever the reason, she still made her mark in other ways. She became a strong voice for animal rights, using her fame to help protect animals. Though she may not be on our screens often, she remains an important part of television history. 15. Jamie Farr. Jamie Farr made audiences laugh for years as Corporal Klinger in MASH, the soldier who wore dresses in a desperate attempt to get out of the Army. At first, Klinger was just supposed to be a small joke, a funny character meant to pop in and out of the show. But Farr's natural comedic timing and charm turned Klinger into something much more. Over time, he became a fan favorite, and instead of being just a silly gag, his character gained real depth. Farr gave Klinger heart, humor, and a personality that people connected with, making him a key part of the show. He remained with MASH until the very last episode, proving that his performance had staying power. But after the show ended, could he find that same success again? Unlike some of his co-stars, Farr didn't immediately land another big TV role. MASH had been a huge part of his life for so long, and finding a new project that could match its success was not easy. He took on smaller roles in television and film, but none of them had the same cultural impact as MASH. Still, he never truly faded from the public eye. He made guest appearances on various shows, reminding audiences that he was still out there. Many actors from the 70s struggled to stay relevant, but Farr didn't just wait around for another big break. He found new ways to stay active in the industry. He worked in TV movies, took part in game shows, and even found opportunities on stage. His love for performing never disappeared, and he wasn't ready to step away from entertainment completely. Beyond acting, Farr took on another important role, giving back to the community. He dedicated time to charity work, using his fame to support causes he cared about. Not every actor from his era stayed in the spotlight, but Farr made sure his presence was still felt. He became involved in golf tournaments for charity and worked to raise money for different organizations. He proved that his career wasn't just about making people laugh, he also wanted to make a difference. Many fans still remember him as Klinger, but he wanted to be known for more than just that one role. His work on stage gave him another outlet to perform, and he embraced every chance to connect with audiences again. Even if he wasn't starring in a hit TV series, he continued to show the world what he could do. 16. Katherine Bach. Katherine Bach became a TV sensation as Daisy Duke on The Dukes of Hazzard, 1979 to 1985. With her long legs and tiny denim shorts, later called Daisy Dukes, she became a pop culture icon. But was she taken seriously as an actress, or was she only known for her looks? The role made her famous, but fame can be tricky. When the show ended, she had to figure out what came next. Unlike some of her co-stars, Bach didn't land another career-defining role. She acted in soap operas like The Young and the Restless, but nothing matched the fame of The Dukes of Hazzard. The world changed, and Hollywood moved on to new stars. Many actresses from the 80s struggled to stay relevant, and Bach faced the same challenge. But she didn't disappear completely. She reinvented herself. She went into business, starting her own fashion lines. She didn't let the industry control her fate. She found new ways to stay in the public eye. Will people remember her for more than just those famous shorts? 17. Erik Estrada. Erik Estrada became a huge star playing Officer Frank Ponch Poncherello in Chips, 1977 to 1983. The show, which followed the lives of California Highway Patrol officers, made him one of the most recognizable faces on television. With his confident smile, fearless attitude, and action-packed scenes, he became a fan favorite. But what happened when the cameras stopped rolling? Hollywood wasn't as kind after Chips ended. While some actors smoothly transitioned into other major roles, Estrada struggled to find another hit. His attempts to stay in the spotlight led him to Spanish-language television, voice acting, and reality TV, where he managed to keep his name alive. But instead of being remembered as a versatile actor, he became a star who never found another role as big as Chips. In a surprising twist, Estrada became a real-life police officer, serving as a reserve officer in different communities. It seemed he wanted to blend his TV past with reality, turning fiction into truth. But was this a new calling, or was it a way to stay relevant? To this day, he remains active in law enforcement and entertainment, but the golden days of his fame are long behind him. Will he ever make a major return to Hollywood, or is his best work forever in the past? 18. Linda Lavin. Linda Lavin became a well-known star thanks to Alice, 1976 to 1985, a sitcom that followed a single mother trying to give her son a better life. She played the title role with warmth and strength, making Alice a character that audiences truly connected with. Her performance was so strong that it won her 2 Golden Globe Awards, proving just how much people loved her. But even with all that success, she never quite reached that same level of fame again. Some actors managed to jump from one hit show to the next, but for Lavin, things were different. After Alice ended, she kept working, but the roles were smaller, and none carried the same weight as her time on the beloved sitcom. Even though she wasn't headlining another major show, she never fully disappeared from the industry. Many sitcom stars fade away after their big moment, but Lavin refused to step out of the spotlight completely. She took on different kinds of roles, appearing in television, film, and even theater, where she earned multiple Tony nominations. The stage gave her a chance to show off her skills in a way that Hollywood no longer did, and she embraced it. She wasn't the kind of actress to wait for the perfect role. She kept moving forward, always finding new ways to perform. While she may not have been the most sought-after name in Hollywood anymore, she proved that talent doesn't just disappear with time. Years later, Lavin found new ways to remind people of her presence. She appeared in The Good Wife and later in 9JKL, showing audiences that she still had the charm and skill that made her famous. Even though these roles weren't as big as Alice, they were a sign that she wasn't ready to fade into the background. But was it enough? Hollywood moves fast, and the spotlight doesn't wait for anyone. The same industry that once made her a star was now filled with younger names, fresh faces, and a constant search for the next big thing. Lavin's name still carried weight, but it was clear that she was no longer the first choice for leading roles. 19. Joyce DeWitt. Joyce DeWitt stole hearts as Janet Wood on Three's Company, 1977 to 1984, the intelligent, down-to-earth roommate who balanced out the wild personalities around her. Her performance helped make the show a classic, but once it ended, DeWitt made a surprising decision. She stepped away from Hollywood. Unlike her co-stars, who continued chasing major roles, she disappeared from the spotlight, leaving fans wondering why. Did she grow tired of the industry? Did she struggle to find work? Whatever the reason, her career slowed down dramatically. Years passed before she returned to acting, and even then it was mostly in theater productions and independent films. She also participated in TV specials looking back at Three's Company, allowing fans to relive the show's best moments. But was nostalgia enough? DeWitt's decision to step away from fame is unusual in an industry where actors fight to stay relevant. Some might admire her choice to live a quieter life, while others may wonder if she regrets walking away when she still had so much potential. Could she have been a bigger star if she had stayed in the game, or did she make the right choice by leaving it all behind? 20. Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart built a lasting career with The Bob Newhart Show, 1972 to 1978, and Newhart, 1982 to 1990, 2 sitcoms that perfectly captured his calm, dry humor. He never needed to shout or be over the top to make people laugh. His comedy was all about perfect timing, quiet delivery, and clever wit. While many comedians struggled to adapt to new audiences, Newhart showed that true talent never fades. He didn't rely on nostalgia to stay in the public eye. Instead, he made carefully chosen guest appearances, reminding everyone why he was a legend in the first place. One of his most memorable later roles was in The Big Bang Theory, where he played Professor Proton, a beloved character that earned him an Emmy. Even after decades in the industry, he still had the ability to captivate audiences with just a few words and a perfectly timed pause. Though his days of leading a hit sitcom were behind him, Newhart's presence on screen never lost its impact. Many sitcom stars fade into the background over time, but he remained relevant, proving that some actors never truly disappear. His humor, which once defined an era, continued to charm new generations. Even as younger comedians took center stage, there was something about his effortless delivery that couldn't be replaced. He was proof that true comedic talent is timeless, no matter how much the entertainment world changes. But time has a way of catching up with everyone, even legends like Bob Newhart. Though he made occasional appearances, he had to decide how much longer he wanted to stay in the spotlight. Would he continue making rare but unforgettable guest roles, or was it finally time for him to step away for good? Fans who had followed him for years wondered if they had seen him on screen for the last time. No matter what he chooses, his influence on television is undeniable.